Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ryan. In this channel, I share knowledge and practical techniques on trauma healing and everything about mental health. Today, I wanted to talk about 4 types of people who can trigger our abandonment anxiety. They were brought out and defined by Michelle Skin in her book, Love Me, Don't Leave Me, and I have repetitively talked about this book in my channel because it helped me a ton in really identifying and also be more cautious in entering the same old pattern, those patterns that don't serve me anymore. And also it requires brutal honesty from us, from all of us who have this history of abandonment trauma, to really make a conscious choice that can bring us nurturing relationships in life, which is the determining factor of a happy life. I'm going to talk about the characteristics of each of those 4 types, and I'm going to use specific examples to help you better understand it. So let's jump right into it. The first type is the abandoner, who is unpredictable, unstable, and unavailable. I'm going to illustrate unpredictable and unstable from 3 aspects. The first one is personality. This person shows instability and conflicts in his own personality. Maybe one minute he's really sweet, he's caring and gentle, but next minute he's just gonna turn to this furious and condescending monster. Sometimes he's extremely humble, but sometimes he's cocky, he's narcissistic, he's selfish, he's cold and distant. It really just sets you to walk on eggshell because you don't know what you said might set him off. You don't know what can be the trigger for him to really have this shift in his personality, in his moods. For example, you put too much salt in the egg. You went out with your friends when he was upset. You talked to a stranger of the opposite sex on the subway. That's kind of scary, and it just really makes us insecure around this person because you don't know what to expect next. And there's a kind of reward system here because sometimes when you say something nice, it does change them, it does soothe them and appease them to make them feel better so that you can have a better time instead of really walking on eggshell. But sometimes it just doesn't work. So it's possible to please them, but it's not certain. So you really can get addicted to this kind of pattern of interacting with this kind of unstable personality. And the second aspect is his life choices. So sometimes he's extremely rational, he makes good decisions in life. He's dedicated to make this relationship work. He's dedicated to putting more efforts to his job to really deliver good results to his boss, right? But next minute, random or compulsive choices can be made, which seems really self-destructive and also destructive, harmful to the people around him. But he just really doesn't care, and he's just stubborn as hell, just going about doing his own shit. One moment he loves you, he wants to take you to his parents, but next moment you don't know, he just ghosts you. And it's just really hard to reason with this side of him, which is extremely unpredictable and unstable. Third aspect is about lifestyle. So this person might constantly moves, might constantly switch jobs. I'm not talking about these jobs that requires travel a lot. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about is this person's choices to change things. It can trigger the deepest insecurities within us who have abandonment trauma because all we want is assurance that things will stay the same, stay in the realm of our control. We need to know exactly what's going to happen, what to expect, so that we can be soothed and we can feel better about ourselves. We can feel safety within our world. And this kind of lifestyle, this kind of personality just cannot provide us with this guarantee that we know exactly what his next move gonna be. Another characteristic from those abandoners is that they are literally unavailable to you. Sometimes you text them wondering what they're doing and what their plans looks like for today. And it could take them hours, even days, to respond to you. Even though you know this is the kind of person who checks his phones every 5 minutes, so it doesn't really make sense that they could be so busy or caught up with work that they don't have 1 single second to respond to you. Hey, I'm busy, I'll text you later, or we can talk some other time. Or you get this very detailed explanation text saying well, I was busy last night, I was busy from 5 to 7, at 8 p.m. I got a meeting and blah 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 blah, and then I kept working till 2 a.m. Those overly detailed explanations just make it seem more questionable because You're like, well, I don't buy a single word you said. This is such a trigger for the insecurity attached because you feel like they're treating you like a fool and they are making those bullshit excuses to really mask the intention that they wanted to leave. The second type is the abuser, who is untrustworthy and unsafe. For this abuser type, they will do everything they can to have more control, more power over you. It does not only refer to physical abuse, they will lie, cheat, manipulate you, using emotional abuse tactics like accusing, blaming, shaming, bullying, boundary invading. There might be another overlooked ones, like they would use this silent treatment, they would use this stonewalling to really make you feel like you are getting isolated, make you feel like you got no one on your side, make you feel like you are so vulnerable and so close to be abandoned by them. Another one I think that's being so underestimated is this invalidation. So by invalidation, I mean that they are telling you what you hear, you don't hear, what you think is not real. That's because you're crazy. They just invalidate your thoughts, your emotions, even though deep down you know how you feel, you know that's true. When they put it like that, it makes you feel ashamed of yourself for having those overreactions, making you feel like crazy, making you doubt your perceptions, even doubt yourself. This actually has such a long-lasting and devastating effect on our self-esteem, on our personality, because maybe as children we have already been trained to do this, to not believe how we feel, what we see, to not believe our own emotions. We were taught and trained to believe whatever our parents tell us because that's the only way to survive, to be a good girl, to not be a trouble to the family, right? So you really don't know what you could potentially do to set him off, to cause further emotional or physical abuse. You just tend to walk on eggshell around this person. But because of our fear of being abandoned, we just cannot leave this type. We are victimized. We feel like we're powerless. We feel like we don't really have the strength to deal with what other people might say about us if we tell them we are abused emotionally or physically. We are ashamed because deep down we think it's our fault, it's our defectiveness to be abused, to be treated so badly. And if we tell people about this, it's a reflection of us, of our flawed self. The third type is the depriver, who is detached and withholding. The depriver type can be a real heartbreaker for us because for the insecurity attached, for people who have attachment trauma, the thing we're hungry for so many years, the thing deep down we're craving and longing and desperately needing is this unconditional love, care, and attention, and a promise that however things is gonna go, whenever shit happens, they will always be there for us. They will always be there to make sure that we're okay, we're safe, we're loved and treasured. And when this kind of person, they are so detached from their own feelings, they don't have this capability to be intimate with anyone. In times of vulnerability and insecurity, when we get rejected of their attention, love, care, of intimacy, sexual or physical, of any kind of gesture that could bring them closer, to be committed, to offer us a promise that they will be there for us, it leaves us feel unlovable. It leaves us this profound shame of being unworthy of love, of attention, of their time. One question I repeatedly have on my mind is that whenever I date a guy and I look at those couples in the shopping mall, and I was so jealous, all the time, because I was thinking, wow, he is so devoted, he's willing to spend time to do things that makes her happy. And I don't know if I ever would be lucky enough to have someone who is willing to spend their weekend with me, to devote time to me, to really answer me whenever I feel insecure and sad, whenever I need comfort and soothe. This kind of loneliness and sadness, they are universal to the people who haven't got enough emotional support, emotional intimacy when we're children. And it can be easily triggered when we're faced with this depriver type because they resemble somehow like our parents who refuse to be intimate with us whenever we want their attention or want their comfort, especially when we're shamed because we have emotional needs. And it's not a private experience. It's not something unique to us. It's not a bad reflection of who we are. It is as a result of the insufficient love and care we got from childhood. So I don't want any of us to be ashamed of having to go through this experience. The fourth type is the critic, who is judgmental, critical, and rejecting. A lot of critics, they are this grandiose type of person because they look at everyone below them, and they especially like to judge, and they hold this hostility towards those people, especially those people who are weak, because those weak people, they somehow trigger the insecure part of themselves, the weak self that they despise, so that they have to put on an armor to show that, well, I'm this perfect, I'm this strong person who has all the power in the world, all the control. They refuse to admit this part of themselves because it triggers so much shame and so much helplessness within them. They tend to assume the worst of others. They tend to treat people with a hostile, with this disrespectful manner, because deep down they are so insecure. They feel like they have to defend themselves all the time. If they don't speak up for themselves, if you don't show this strong armor, others might bully them, others might think less of them, others might reject them first. So they have to be at the upper hand. They have to really be this powerful, cold, rejecting person as a way to send out signals, well, don't mess with me, you know. But secure people don't do that because we don't assume the worst of others. The world is safe so that we don't have to put on an armor to announce how strong and powerful we are, because we know we are strong in silence. We are powerful, right? We don't have to show it constantly, right? So they don't have this security, but it doesn't justify their behaviors that are rude, that are cold, that are bitchy. Of course, we all engage in one or more of these behaviors under certain situations, but it's not a constant behavior. It's not like a personality type. It's not so frequent in a way that we see this is how this person always do this kind of thing. What we need to consider, to be aware of, is if this behavior is a single accident because they're having a bad day, they're going through some shitty stuff, or it says more about who they are, their value towards the world, or this is just how they do things constantly. Alright everyone, hope this video is helpful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you wanted to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.